Have you ever felt like you're just not enough? Has there ever been a time, or maybe that time is now, where you feel like you don't fit in? Maybe it's how you think you look. Maybe you don't feel smart enough or talented enough. I remember growing up, we just didn't talk much in my family. In fact, I joke now that if you were a fly on a wall at a Christmas dinner, all you would hear is clanking of dishes, and maybe someone would mumble to pass the butter. We just didn't communicate. I didn't talk to my parents about things that were happening at school. I didn't talk to my mom about what was happening in my body or what I was feeling. And I grew up with brothers, so unless I didn't wanted to talk about football or Star Wars or some car that morphed into a robot and back, we just didn't have much to talk about. And at school, I didn't feel like I fit in. There were these girls, and in my mind, they were picture perfect. They were smart and athletic and beautiful, and I wanted so badly to be part of that. But I didn't think that I was enough. I didn't know how to communicate my feelings, so I just started shoving them down, thinking if I just keep shoving them down, they'll eventually just go away, right? But it doesn't work like that. See, they simmer and they fester, and that doesn't work. So I didn't know what to do with that, so I started shoving food down on top of it, thinking that that'll just mask my emotions that I was having but unable to communicate. But that didn't work either. So you can sweep things under the rug for a while or shove them down, but eventually they're going to come out in some big dramatic way, like anger or rage or depression or anxiety or drinking or an eating disorder. My way was actually a piece of all those things, but the one thing that was going to get me in trouble was an eating disorder. When I was 13, I started binging. At 15, I was binging and purging. And in college, I was so obsessed with exercise and I was barely eating. I remember one time after binging, I was so disgusted with who I was, and I purged for the first time. I'd tried many times before and failed, and I finally got it, and I got so scared. Not because of what I'd just done, but because I knew that I had just made a choice to go down a road that was going to spiral out of control. I made that choice, and it was a choice that was just leading the validation of all the feelings I was having of not being enough. I did have a saving grace. I was a gifted athlete through high school and college, and I used that as an outlet. I spent hours in the gym as an escape. But that soon turned into another issue where I started to excel, and I started to get recognized for what I was doing, and I started to gain confidence in who I was. And then I started to pull back and shut down. See, I couldn't outperform the girls I was trying to fit in with. I couldn't outshine them and make them feel inferior. So I held back who I was. I held back my potential. I kind of dimmed my light so that they could shine brighter, because I was in fear that they wouldn't accept me. It wasn't until my late 20s I was out with a friend of mine, and we'd been friends for a long time, and we'd gone out to lunch and probably went shopping, and we always had fun. I remember she was driving home, and she got kind of quiet. And she pulled in the driveway and she turned the car off and she looked at me and she had tears in her eyes. And she said, "Hides, I've been watching you. And I see your patterns. Game's up, you need help." And I denied it to her for a moment because that was my thing that I had hidden behind for so long, but only for a moment. Because the truth is I was ready to get busted. I was ready for help. I was so exhausted at playing this game of charades and at fighting this battle all by myself. And at that moment, she gave me permission to stop so that I could start my healing journey. To say that healing journey was easy is not true. It was a long road, and there are so many days that I failed miserably. But I started to learn how to make new choices, and I started to believe that I could stand up in my strengths and who I was and have a voice. And I actually started to believe that I could be somebody and enough just as I was. So I'm here today to give you a voice, for you to stand up in exactly who you are and not be perfect and know that you're enough. See, the very fact that you're here on this earth, means you have infinite amounts of worthiness within you that no one can take away from you or even decrease if you don't let them. See, I don't care what race or religion you are. I don't care if you're size 2 or 22. I don't care if you've never been asked out on a date or put a stitch of makeup on. Or maybe you've been on too many dates. I don't care if you don't have an athletic bone in your body, can't sing a note or hum a tune. Maybe you've been overlooked or unloved. You're still enough no matter what, just as you are. Here's the catch. You have to believe that. See, I can stand up here all day long and talk about what I know to be true, but you have to believe that. Because for the rest of your life, people are going to tell you the things you cannot do. They're going to say you're not talented, you're not smart enough, you're not beautiful enough, you're not strong enough. They're going to say you're the wrong height for this or the wrong weight for that. They're going to look you dead in the eye. Some are going to laugh and go, you can't do that. That's impossible for you. And you're going to hear it 1,000 times. And you're going to stand up to them and say, yeah, yes, I can, because I am enough. How many of you know who Michael Jordan is? Michael Jordan was cut from his freshman basketball team. He went home that night, he locked himself in his bedroom, and he cried. But he made a choice that night. He decided that night that he was going to be the best basketball player there was. I think he did okay. Dr. Seuss, you are you, that is truer than true. There's no one alive that is youer than you. His first book was rejected 27 times. Oprah Winfrey, demoted from a news anchor job because she's told she wasn't fit for television. Walt Disney was fired from his newspaper because he lacked imagination. Where's my soccer players? Yeah. Lionel Messi, cut from his soccer team because he was told he was too small. He would never be a successful soccer player. Now, some of you are sitting there going, well, you don't know me. You don't know my story or my situation or circumstances, and you're right, I don't. How many of you know who Eminem is? Not M&M melt in your mouth, not in your hands. Eminem. Grew up in poverty, drugs, alcohol, high school dropout. He didn't come from the best situation either. What if they had listened to the people that said, you're not strong enough, you're not smart enough, you're not talented enough? What if they had stopped trying when someone looked at them and said, for you, it's impossible? No green eggs and ham, no Mickey Mouse, no Air Jordans. It's your choice. How you talk about yourself, who you let influence you is your choice. And wouldn't it be awesome if we lived in a world where we had so much confidence in who we are, we didn't compare ourselves to others or listen to those that didn't believe in us? Wouldn't it be awesome if we lived in a world where we had so much kindness and compassion for ourselves, we were able to spread it to everybody else? Wouldn't it be awesome if we lived in a world where we were building each other up instead of tearing each other down? See, some of you guys are sitting out there listening and you're saying, waiting for someone else to tell you that you're smart enough. You're waiting for someone else to tell you that you're beautiful enough. You're waiting for a validation from a place you may never get validation from. Some of you are waiting for a certain kind of love from someone who might be incapable of giving that. And it has absolutely nothing to do with how worthy you are. I want you to ask yourself a question. If 5 years from today, you don't change how you talk about yourself, how you talk to yourself, or who you let influence you, what will your life look like? Or if you make that decision today to change how you talk about yourself, if you start to believe that you're enough right now, just as you are, what will your life look like in 5 years? I want you to stand up with me for a sec. I know everybody hates this. Stand up with me. So this is not a time to use your inside voice. We're not in church. And I actually want you to feel this. I want you to repeat after me. I. One more time. I. One more time. I am. I am enough. Yes, you are. And you are. And it's time for you to be confidently and courageous in who you are. This world needs you. And when you don't stand in who you are, you steal that from the world. We miss out. Society misses out. And then you serve no one. We're all meant to shine. And in the darkest days, because there will be dark days, but in the darkest of days, the stars still shine. You're all stars. And it's time for you to stand just as you are and be confidently you.